a show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Ticely Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, HOV Medical and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment. Welcome to The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. Today I am at the very comfortable space, one of the most comfortable space around town, the Arbitration Center, the BVI Arbitration Center. And my guest today is Ms. Shan Greer. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
First of all, I must say welcome to the Virgin Islands. I know you just started off here as the Chief Executive Officer for the BVI Arbitration Center just 2 months ago.
Yes.
Okay, so give us a little bit about you.
Well, I am also an island girl coming from the island of St. Lucia. I have practiced as a lawyer and an arbitrator for over 22 years. And part of my practice has allowed me to work very closely with the center. So I was actually here when the center was first launched back in 2015. And so it's really, really nice to be able to, after all this time, having supported the center, to be here and be at the helm.
So you were eyeing that position for back then.
You know, they say what's for you is for you.
It's for you, no matter what. Well, since 2015 to today, the transition, the Arbitration Center would have gone through a number of transitions. From your recollection, could you give us a little background as to how things has been for the Arbitration Center? I know that you have not been here for that period, but I know the succession planning that would have taken place to allow you to take in.
Yes, so when the center first started, I think everyone had, large expectations for it, and justifiably so. But arbitration is the resolution of disputes, and so you have to wait for the disputes to arise. And so it means that there's always going to be this lag between when you open and when the cases started coming in. Now, in the ordinary course of things, by year 2 or 3, you'd start to see the fruits of your labor. But unfortunately, just around that time, we went into COVID, and arbitration requires people to come to the center. And so we had some challenges with that. But, as we say in the Caribbean, necessity is the mother of all skills. And I was happy to say that the center was able to quickly pivot and turn their product into a virtual one. And in fact, we actually already had a lot of the infrastructure already existing for moving cases from in-person to virtual. When you're on a little island and you're trying to attract people to the market, you naturally have to have these that sort of infrastructure already in place. So our transition was actually quite quick. And I know that because I worked with Francois and Hannah during those periods of time to market these services. And I think it was just before COVID, we actually did an online webinar on how to use virtual training. And then literally 6 months after, we went into lockdown. So yes, I'm not going to lie. I think that COVID has not done us any favors in terms of people coming to the island, but certainly it allowed us to provide a more fuller product. And that's what we're going into market now.
Okay. The product that you offer here is not one that you would hear every day on the street about. What are some of the major accomplishments of the Arbitration Center since its establishment here?
Yeah, so we deal with people, or we deal with contracts when they go wrong. And of course, there are two types of contracts that we're looking at. Those are the ones in BVI. And then, of course, there are international contracts. Now, from a country perspective, what we're trying to do is attract international investment into the country through arbitration. So parties will have their disputes, whether it be in France, in Miami, in Trinidad, in Barbados, and then they will want to have those resolved. And they need a neutral venue to do that. And we act as that neutral venue. So the benefit to the country is these persons come in, they need hotels, they use, all of the various services, and they use the center. And that essentially creates an economy or supports the local economy. More importantly, of course, they use our lawyers. Mm-hmm. And as you probably already know, BVI has one of the most sophisticated legal communities in the region. And so it allows us to build on what is already existing.
Awesome. And so it takes us into the core of our discourse today. I know Janet would have briefed me before, and I think I remember sometime back I did participate. I was here when they had Arbitration Week.
Yes.
And this is something that is usually held every 2 years.
Yes.
But with your coming on board just January, I understand now the celebrations would not be 2023, but rather 2024. Very, very proactive in preparing for that year ahead. Let's talk Arbitration Week 2024.
Yeah, so having taken over in January, I wanted to ensure that we had enough time to truly market the region. And the island, of course. And additionally, we wanted to take a more collaborative approach, both with the local market and the regional one. And we thought we needed about that extra 3 or 4 months to give us some time to do that. This year, our focus is going to be on highlighting all that BVI has to offer, which is why we're focusing on thought leadership. I think you probably, like everybody else in BVI, knows that when you're a small island, people have assumptions about the quality of what exists there. And so what we want to do this year is profile all that BVI has to offer, because there's a lot of talent on the island and regionally. And so the idea is to promote BVI for what it is, which is a thought leader, particularly in the professions.
So we're planning ahead and we're doing a number of things leading up to Arbitration Week 2014. What are the focuses?
Yeah, so our focus this year is on the journey to BVI Arbitration Week. We're going to be having a lot of events leading up to it. And the actual tagline for the event is "Be where thought leaders are headed." And it's to focus on the fact that we have a lot of key contributors to the arbitration community in BVI and in the Caribbean, and all of them will be coming here. This year we're going to be taking an industry approach, so we're going to focusing on key industries within this region. So that would be construction, oil and gas, renewable energy, and of course finance. And specifically in finance, fintech, because we want to be ahead of the game. We all know that BVI was ahead in the IBC market and was one of the first islands to do that, and we want to be one of the first in many of the new trending areas in arbitration.
So why the selection of those three main ones?
So fintech, because it is one of the emerging areas. I'm sure you've heard about Bitcoins, smart contracts. I'm sure you would have heard of the most recent, quite a few of these Bitcoin companies have failed. Anytime these things happen, disputes arise, and we want to be able to service that market, and not a lot of other regions or institutions are specifically focused on them. In terms of construction, oil and gas, those are the bedrock industries within our region. A lot of construction work goes to arbitration, and we don't have a Caribbean focus-led initiative in those areas, and so we wanted to service those markets because there's a clear lack for them.
Why should the BVI public pay attention to this type of planning that you're putting into leading up to 2024?
Yeah, well, I think that disputes affect everyone. And while we do have an international market, we will also be looking at focusing on the local market. Disputes are the issues that most companies don't look at. When you start a company, whether it's the mom and pop shop starting a little business or whether you're the multi-millionaire, everybody has a dream. And when they start, they think about the dream. They don't think about what could go wrong. They don't think about the disputes. They don't think about what's going to happen if I can't get my produce on time, or if, a hurricane passes and everything, goes. Yeah. And when these disputes arise, they can have devastating consequences on all businesses. And so how you manage your disputes, whether it be by court, whether it be by arbitration or mediation, matters. And it's important to think about those, even if your dispute is not a multi-million-dollar one. So we would encourage people to think about, how am I going to deal with situations where I can't come to an agreement, or where my project or my contract or my business goes wrong? How am I going to resolve those disputes, and which one makes the most sense?
Okay, awesome. Because I guess for the average person listening to this might want to say, oh, that's for the bigger companies. What I'm gathering from you, all businesses should pay attention to this aspect of it.
Yes, and we actually recently implemented expedited rules, and those are rules that are cheaper and more cost effective and would address these sorts of smaller disputes. So certainly we're going to be advertising, well, I don't know if advertisement, but marketing is probably the better word, those sorts of services, so that the local community can see the value. And if you want to go to court and it takes 2 years, it may be that your business model suits paying a little more in the front to have your case decided in 3 months or 6 months. Or maybe you're in a specialist area like construction or in the finance industry or accounting, and you want a specialist that may not necessarily be a judge. So you want an accountant or an engineer to hear your case. Arbitration assists with that. So it's not something just for large businesses, and certainly we want to pay attention to the local market, and we will be doing services that target the local market.
Awesome. Tell us about some dates now.
Some dates, yes. So BVI Arbitration Week will be from the 11th to the 15th of March, 2024.
And those who are interested in getting involved and becoming even more familiar about what is going to be happening, how do they make contact?
Right, so you can go onto our website and register onto our email list. The website is bviiac.org. And once you're on our subscriber list, you'll be getting up-to-date information.
Awesome.
And professionals as well who want to be involved with the center. If you are either involved in arbitration, the legal community, you just want to know more, you can also join the arbitration group. And there's information online on our website as to how you can do that. And that will allow you to actually be involved with the center.
All right, Shan, it was a great pleasure first meeting you for the first time. And of course, having this very interesting conversation leading up to Arbitration Week 2024. I'm sure that we'll have another conversation and try to push this as much as possible. Indeed. So I want to thank you so much. Anything that you want to say to the general public of the Virgin Islands and further fields in this moment?
Yes, no, we're here to serve. If you have any questions, if you have disputes and you want more information, feel free to reach out to us. We're only a phone call away. Or an email.
That will do it for this edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for joining us.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year.
Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.